And I'm sure that most of us have learned one or two things. But for those who were absent because it took place on a Sunday, we learned about starting small for those who have businesses, not getting overspent before your business eventually gets established. We also looked at how you can use low code tools. You do not have to employ the best or most experienced front end developer to build your website. She gave us examples of different existing low code tools that we can use as a starting point for our businesses. And today, so we do not waste too much time, we're going to be looking at something different. And we are going to be looking at how, as entrepreneurs, we can build effective teams as leaders, as business leaders. One thing that is certain is that every entrepreneur is a leader. You are working with a team, you are leading one, you are working with various people that are involved in your businesses. And this means that you need to be able to learn exactly how you can get these people to act in the way you want, to ensure that your business is well represented, to ensure that they do the things that would be needed to ensure that your business reaches the height that you want it to reach. And we would have someone that would handle this for us. And the name is Kelechi Abiri. She is a seasoned entrepreneur. She has worked in various industries. She's someone that is passionate about sustainable development goals, particularly the one with economic growth. She believes that this is because every business is the art of the economy. And our way of contributing to this goal is to by ensuring that our business or the team that she has set up contributes to this by providing career development, human resource support, and technology service for individuals, startups, and growing businesses across Nigeria. So she's an HR expert. She has been a business leader for over 12 years, building, working with, managing different teams in various sectors, such as oil and gas, e-commerce, tourism, technology. So she has her hands on various fields. She has a wide range of experiences in different sectors. She has various business certifications ranging from the Society of Human Resource Management, the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, International Board of Credentialing and Continuing Education Standards, Human Resource Professional License, and an MBA. She also recently became an alumni of the Lagos Business School. For anyone who is knowledgeable about business schools, you know that Lagos Business Schools is one of the best business schools, not just in Nigeria, but the continent itself. She also has set up various companies, some of which include Repos Human Resource Limited, RVTAC, and Ready Job Seeker. And the purpose of these companies that she set up is to provide businesses with streamlined HR processes, enhanced employee engagement, and continuous professional development. She ensures that she does this. She has done this for about 2,000 businesses and impacted more than 5,000 job seekers in Nigeria. These companies operate in the US, Nigeria, and Qatar. So experience spans not just Nigeria, but different continents. If there's anybody that is experienced enough to teach you as an entrepreneur how you can be an effective leader and do team building well, she is the perfect expert. And thank you. We can use our reactions to show how excited we are to have her here on the call. Whether it's a clap, a love reaction, or cheers as she takes the floor. So welcome, Ms. Kelechi. We're glad to have you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Odeshola, and the Founder City team, especially Olumide as well, for having me. I'm delighted to be here. I'm also very, very interested and excited for the profiles of the entrepreneurs that I saw. I hope my audio is very good and everyone can hear me. If you can hear me, just drop, yeah, thank you. Just drop a reaction emoji. Thank you so much. So let's get right into it. I would start with a little bit of a background as to, okay, let me share my screen. let me, okay, see if I can share. Can I share now, Odeshola?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can share your screen now. Sorry, let me stop it.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Yes, so everyone can see my screen, right? Yes, I believe it's showing. Yes, so let's talk about, we're talking about building high performing teams. And when you talk about teams, basically, you're talking about the people that would drive the vision as you've created that vision as the entrepreneur or the founder. The person, the group of people that will drive that vision are your, of course, your team. And also building this team now becomes very, very important and essential. When we say building, everyone knows that a building starts from foundation, right? Do we agree? A building starts from foundation, and whatever you do at the foundation determines the strength of that building. And so when you're building when you say you want to build a high performing team, what is the foundation? So the foundation has to be very solid. And the very, very, very first thing you do when you're building is that you gather materials, you gather, you go and draw up a design. So when for those of us that studied like architecture or anything like that, we all know that. No, I'm not talking about the Nigerian context now, because I know that I heard that some people build without having a design, right? I'm talking about the standard and the normal process of building. You start with a design, right? You start with a design, you start with materials, you start to gather materials, you start with a blueprint. And so when we say that we are building a high performing team, that aspect of building, the foundational aspect, would also start with design. How are you designing that? How are you going to design that process? How are you going to design that that foundation? How are you going to start off? So you have to start first of all by identifying some essential aspects of your team that you're building. So let me go to the next slide. We said building a high performing team is an essential aspect of successful organization. I've established that. And I've said that there's a foundation to it. So we'll talk about, I'll just give you a few information about the foundation. So there's a principle by Stephen T. Hunt. He said, the right people doing the right things the right way with the right development. That is what a high performing team is about. The right people doing the right things the right way with the right development. So that foundation starts with the right people, right? You cannot say you're building a high performing team without designing a well thought out recruitment strategy, without designing a well thought out recruitment and sourcing strategy. Why when you have the right you have the right people, the right things, and the right way, why it matters in today's competitive landscape is because we don't have any local talent again. Talent is now global. As you're sitting here in your small business or your medium-sized business or your big business, every employee that you have has an option to work for a company in Switzerland. They have an option to work for a company in the US. They have an option to work for a company in, you name it, because the world is a global village. So talent has now become very, very scarce. Good talent has more options than we've ever seen in our lifetime. I can stay here and work for a company in China. I can stay here and work for a company in Liverpool, in Detroit. So you're contending with a global market. So that's why it's very, very, very competitive. And because it's tied to the success of your organization, right? You have to be very, very proactive about having a plan on how to bring in this the right people. So you have to have a comprehensive approach and a long-term approach when you're looking at talent and when you're looking at a team that you're building. So I'm sure we've established that, right? Right people doing the right things the right way with the right developments. So picture your organization. Picture your organization today. How would you find the right people? Sorry, I went back. How will you find the right people? Whose business can we use as a case study while we're working? Who wants to volunteer their business? So who wants to volunteer? Please drop your business in the comment section, whatever industry that we are volunteering, so that we can, because we'll have to take a practical step when we're working, as we're learning. We'll be doing something practical as well, so that we can all understand. So who is volunteering their business? Okay, so the right people are those who not only possess the right skills and qualification, they also align with the company culture, values, and vision. So you have to find that alignment, right? There are people that are very skilled, but are not culturally fit to be in your organization. There are people that are very skilled, but you can't put everybody with the same mindset in your organization. So you need diversity and inclusion. So people are very skilled, but they lack emotional intelligence. So they cannot work with people. They don't have good interpersonal skills. They cannot adapt, and they cannot adapt to stress. They cannot adapt to pressure. So let's talk about knowledge, skill, and ability, right? What is knowledge? What is skill? What is ability? Who wants to try? Please, I want to have an interactive session. Who wants to try the difference between knowledge, skill, and ability? Who wants to give us like a difference between those three words? So not only you can find a global, you can also find employees in other parts of the world as well. So when I say people can poach your staff from other parts of the world, you have the ability to poach other people's staff in other parts of the world as well. So don't be afraid. So who wants to give us that? There's no right or wrong answer. I just need some interaction in the class. Who wants to give us a quick difference between the three concepts? Anyone? You can just unmute if you have something to say.
You can unmute your mic to answer anyone.
Anyone wants to give it a
Let
try?
me say something.
Okay, please. Thank you.
Okay, my own understanding, knowledge is the understanding of maybe a concept,
Yes.
or it could be an understanding of anything. Then skill is more like the practical application of that understanding,
Yes.
while ability is more like the capacity. Yeah.
So you've used the right words. You are very much spot on. So you've used the right words, right? So when you're looking at a job description, does anybody have any role, any job description? Let's say you're looking at a job description right now for your organization. If you analyze the job description, what are the knowledge, skill, and ability you have that person? So let's look at a popular job description of an executive assistant rather. Let me see if I can pull up one with ChatGPT. Let me see, so that we can analyze that. Or does anyone have any job description that? Okay. Job description of a Executive assistant. Okay, so let's analyze a job description, a generic job description. I just asked ChatGPT to pull this up so that you can do it practically with your HR or whoever is working with you in hiring. Okay, ChatGPT is even breaking it down into stuff. Okay, let me see. Typical job description. Okay, can you guys see my screen? No?
Yes.
Which
Yes.
one can you see? Can you see the
job description? Yes.
Yes, okay, perfect. So let's look at this job description, right? It says key responsibilities, administrative support, meeting coordination. So if you look at this job description, right, up to ChatGPT even gave us skills. So skills like what's the person's name that answered? Sorry, what's your name that answered, please?
Blessing Patrick.
Okay, thank you, Blessing. Like Blessing said, skill is the application, or rather, of the necessary information that you know, the knowledge that you have, the practical application. So ChatGPT has already said key skills is strong, this, blah, blah, blah. So let's look at knowledge. What kind of knowledge do we need this EA to have? Person who have knowledge on administrative support, meeting coordination, travel, blah, blah, blah. Right? Now, from this job description, we can clearly see that there's a knowledge the person needs to have. There's a skill the person needs to have. Now, who can tell me the ability that the person needs to have? For an executive assistant, what is the most important ability that person has to have? Please go ahead, just unmute.
Okay, I feel managing people.
Managing people, ability to manage people. So that's under emotional intelligence. Okay. What else? What else? What ability must your executive assistant have? Who wants to go? One more person.
Ability to keep to time.
Ability to keep to time. Okay. Thank you. And another ability person must have is what? Multitasking. Because when you tell your executive assistant to do this, do that, do this, do that, that's a multitasking. When you tell her to reach out to this person, that is part of ability to manage others. When you have that time management skills, that means you can help your boss as an executive assistant. You'll be able to imagine having an executive assistant that you have to be the one reminding. that defeats the purpose, right, of an executive assistant. So the person must have that time management. So we've seen that in a typical job description, you will see that there is knowledge, skill, and ability that become very important factors. Now, when you're creating your job description, thank God for various tools that we have nowadays. You have your ChatGPT, you have various tools now. So we are in a very, very interesting period of our lives where you can solicit various tools to help you with key aspects of your team building. Let me go back to sharing my slides. Yeah. So that's a typical job description. It's made up of knowledge, skills, and abilities. And I'm not going to this side, so let me go back. Hold on, please. Okay, I lost. I came out of my window. Okay, let me go back. So this is where we were. We're in the right people. So we have a recruitment cycle. We have something that's called a recruitment cycle, right? And it comprises of identifying hiring needs, creating job descriptions and specifications, sourcing candidates, screening and shortlisting, interviews and assessment, offer and negotiation, onboarding and integration, and we'll have evaluation and feedback. So make sure that your business goes through that cycle with the people that you hire. How do you identify your hiring needs? You should have a talent management or a workforce planning tool that you would use. It can be a simple Google Sheet that you would use in creating your hiring needs with your job descriptions and specifications. Now, those job descriptions and specifications, look at your business holistically. What do we need? Ask yourself, what do we need and what is the success factor we need per role? Have you seen when businesses say we want 2-1, we want people that finish with 2-1? Why do you think they say that? There's a specific kind of way they want to source those candidates. There's a specific kind of culture they want to build with the team. There's a specific kind of knowledge and skill and ability they're looking for. So they have to have those key success factors, those key criteria per employee. So when you're sourcing, when you go to sourcing, right, what will be your sourcing tool? Will it be Indeed? Will it be LinkedIn? What will be your sourcing tool? Will it be referrals? What will be your sourcing tool? And how do you make sure that you have a right candidate pool? Because when you source for candidates, you should also keep a candidate pool to ensure that you have the right talent in your pipeline at every given time. So your sourcing candidates, you can employ tactics like interns from schools. So I know people that go to interns, they find interns from like University of Lagos, some find interns from Covenant, some people find interns, they do like a whole what's it called now, graduate trainee program as part of their sourcing mechanism. I know some of us are not as big as doing a graduate training, but you can do a graduate trainee program at your own scale right now. You can be very audacious and ambitious to do a graduate training program. That will mean that you will catch the talent young and you are ready to train that talent as well. You're ready to impact that talent with knowledge as well of your business. Now, people will tell you that when you train people, they might go or they might not go. We'll get into that later. However, have that mindset that everyone that comes into your organization must learn your ethics, must learn your values, right? And must be well integrated into your team. So have a plan for your screening and shortlisting. What are the criteria you use in screening and shortlisting? What are the tools? There are many technology tools. We have a software as well called RBTAC. There are many technology tools you can use in shortlisting and screening. Have an interview and assessment plan. What do you want to come up with as your interview questions? What are the questions that are going to be very important for the interview part of your business, of the business? What do you want to ask people? How do you want to assess people as well? Don't just ask random questions. Ask questions that relate to what you're trying to find out from the candidate and what is relevant to the business. Balance the questions that way. And when you make an offer, be open for negotiation, because candidates will always come back sometimes with either a counter offer, or they might negotiate things in their offer letter. So be open to that. And you should not see it as a bad sign when a candidate is negotiating. because that shows you that the person is well aware of what they want. And it's up to you as well to stand your ground and assert on the things that you feel are important to your organization. So have an onboarding plan, have evaluation and feedback. So remember, we're talking about the foundation for building the ideal team, right? Which is the right people. So you can use behavioral interviews to assess people. You can use past performance to assess people. You can use competency-based hiring tests to assess people. And also you can promote people from, maybe they came in as junior level and they started to perform better. You can also promote them and have a succession plan for them. So you can create a succession plan document for them. Right? Is everyone with me, please? Just share like an emoji.
Yes, we are with you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so we'll do a practical. We'll do some practicals as time goes on, so that when I'm not just talking and I'll make sure that we all understand. But let's just go through the next part of building the high performing team. So what are the right things that you feel that are relevant to your organization? Excuse me. What are the right things that are relevant to your organization? So we're talking here about the right things, ensuring that the team members are working on the right tasks. So it is your job to ensure that people understand the task and they are aligned with the strategic goals of the organization. How do you do that? How do you create a work plan? You have to create a work plan that reflects the goals of the organization. So you have to align individual tasks with the company's overall objective. Now, it will mean that sometimes you have to, at the beginning, it might seem like you're micromanaging, but it gives you an overview, have an overview of what each person is to do part-time. So you have to have a very broad overview, which is very, very important as the owner manager, right? So you are assigning the right tasks to the right people. Sometimes you look at people's capacity before you assign and delegate, right? And then you know what tasks to prioritize at every given time, and know what resources to allocate at every given time. So that means you're thinking of your task in a holistic way. You're thinking of the employee's task in a holistic way, and you are dividing it into goal alignment and things that can be delegated, things that should be prioritized, and resources that you should allocate. So let me give you an example. Like if you are to work with a marketing department, right? Your marketing team, if you're building your marketing team, you have to create what we call OKRs, which are objectives and key results areas, right? So that you can set clear and measurable goals. Now, for your marketing department, an example of an OKR can be increase brand visibility and drive website traffic by 20% in Q1 or Q4. So you can give them key result areas around, number one, launch and complete 3 social media campaigns with a combined reach of 500,000 users. So that way you're able to measure, did they do 3,000 campaigns? I mean, did they do 3 campaigns and did they reach 500K people? They're able to measure. Another key result area you can give them is increase organic website traffic by 15% through SEO optimization. That's search engine optimization. And then you say, how do you measure that? You have to have an analytics, a system for analytics of your website so that you can see the growth that the marketing department is bringing in, right? You can give them an OKR of generate 50 new backlinks from reputable websites. So you also have to have a tool for measuring the OKR for for backlinks on your website. So another thing, for example, if you're looking at your HR department and you want to give them a key results area or an OKR, you can tell them, for example, the general goal might be to improve employee engagement and retention by the end of the year. So you can give them a target or a result area of 75% participation rate in the annual employee engagement survey. So you can do an engagement survey. You can tell them to carry out an engagement survey and see the participation rate. That way you can now say, okay, she was able to drive participation and engagement with the employees. So you can give an OKR for your HR department, like reduce voluntary turnover rate to less than 10%. What is voluntary turnover rate? That's resignations. So how does she reduce it? You make sure that he or she is participating in engaging the employees and finding out proactively what kind of welfare they are looking at. And then we have another practical way called the Eisenhower matrix. Eisenhower matrix is something that we've all heard before. We've heard something like, have you ever heard the word urgent and important? When you're prioritizing a task, you know the one that is urgent and important. You know the one that is important but not urgent. You know the one that is urgent but not important. You know the one that is not urgent and not important. So if we Google the Eisenhower matrix, we'll see that when you are creating a task, there's a task you should do first. There's a task you should schedule. There's a task you should delegate. And there are tasks that you should eliminate. So everything that you have to do in your organization, draft it out, right? And use the Eisenhower matrix to say which one is urgent and important, which one is important but not urgent, which one is urgent but not important, and which one is not urgent and not important. So that you are sure that your employees take on tasks that are actually relevant to your organization. So Google the Eisenhower matrix, all the tasks in your organization, put them together and see the way to prioritize them with this framework. Okay, another practical tip is to have regular reviews and recalibrate priorities based on market trends and business needs. That means you must stay abreast of your market trends. What are the trends in fashion? What are the trends in creativity or in the creative industry? Staying abreast with those trends will also help you set regular tasks around meeting those business needs and market trends. Let me know if there's any question, please. So let's go to another foundational area called the right way. So how do you ensure excellence and efficiency? So this is something that businesses struggle with, right? How do you ensure efficiency? I've heard people say to me that, oh, we started this process, but we couldn't continue this process. How do we continue this process, right? How do we make sure that people... So you have to create a very, very important ethical code of conduct. So you have to have a code of conduct. You have to have standard operating procedures. You have to have it for every department. Your standard operating procedure should be for every department. Sometimes you need to have a standard operating procedure for every role. It can be that streamlined. So when people don't understand the process, or when you have lapses in following a process, it's because the process might not be clear. So your consistency will depend on the clarity of the process. I remember we're dealing with adults, right? Everybody comes to work. We always feel like, oh, don't bring your problem to work. But most people bring their problem to work. And sometimes they lose sight of the goal. So you have to be ready as the owner manager and the visionary to put the goal in front of people at all times. Remind them of what the goal is. That means you yourself have to understand what the goal is at every point in time. So having ethical conduct, code of conduct, to help you in your decision making. So not when you are faced with a tight decision, but that's when you now start looking for what to do. Make sure that you've aligned your principles and values as a business before you at every time, so that your employees will know that this is a company where we don't give bribes, for example. This is a company where we don't shortchange customers. This is a company that we don't steal from the business, we don't steal from customers. So put in those ethical code of conduct and ensure the right consequences are communicated and transparent to the employees when you put in those code of conduct. So you can streamline your operations through automation. You can automate some processes to eliminate waste of time and waste of resources. So you can use technology as so many tools, right? You can use so many project management tools to ensure that people follow things and do things the right way. And then there's continuity. Sometimes when an employee resigns, that's when we now realize that that department, they were just moving on vibes. There was never any clear-cut procedure for them. So use things, there are many concepts and methodologies, Lean, Agile, Six Sigma. Now, the truth is that if you go into a ChatGPT or if you go into any AI tool, some of them can even help you create SOPs. Some of them can even help you create, depending on how you're able to query it properly, it will help you create SOPs, it will help you create code of conduct, right? It will help you create basic important documents that you can use in your organization. So provide training on best practices and tools for efficiency. So sometimes you might need to provide that training. You might need to, when you create that SOP, you might need to do that training and ensure that it's communicated clearly. Don't just create an SOP and send it to people. Put them in a meeting. Put them in a meeting, put them in on a call, and show them why these best practices should be followed. So quality assurance measures should also be put in place. What do I mean? If you're in the dressmaking industry, for example, you must have quality assurance. You must put a form of quality assurance in place. In fact, any business that you're doing, there should be somebody in charge of quality assurance. Somebody's job description must include quality assurance, because somebody must be able to account for the processes. Sometimes the person in charge of quality assurance is even the CEO, if the team is still a small team. Make sure you look and have an oversight of what is going out of your business to the customer. Make sure you put somebody in charge, if you can't do it, to have an oversight of what is going out of your business to the customer. So that way you can ensure excellence and efficiency. Now, foster a culture of innovation and encourage the team members to suggest improvements. So have meetings where you just discuss improvements and make sure that you have a mindset of allowing mistakes to happen. So you can only innovate when you have a culture of not punishing people for mistakes. What do I mean? I'm not saying there are different types of mistakes, but if you see that the person made that mistake in such a way that the person was trying to bring a solution to the business and it was not an intentional oversight, right? Those type of mistakes should be encouraged, because those are learning curves for your business to be innovative. You can't take, if you don't take risk, if you don't make mistakes, you will never know what areas to improve in your business. So be open to constantly refining your processes. Processes should not just be stagnant. Look for ways to ensure that your processes are refreshed, and keep a data of what is working and what is not working at all times. If you are able to keep a data, you'll be able to ensure that some processes are well carried out. Is everyone following me, please?
Yes, we are.
Yes, yes, we are here.
All right, thank you. Please don't hesitate to ask me questions in between. So let's talk about the right development. How do you invest in continuous growth as a business? So it starts from something we call continuous development. So have a continuous learning environment, right? Where you are able to analyze and ask employees what are their personal growth areas, and then look at personal future organizational growth areas that you need to look at. So encourage trainings, learning, and development. Now, I've heard people say, oh, I train them and they leave. The truth is, you cannot force people to work for you, or you cannot make them work for you forever. That's just the truth. But when they stay with you for those couple of months or years without continuous training, it's even worse for your business. It's even more of a risk for your business than training them and they leave. So it's better you train them whichever way. If they leave, fine. But make sure that you have a system of knowledge transfer. Sometimes you don't have a system for knowledge transfer. That's why we feel that. So if you send somebody for a training, for example, let the person come back to the organization and write down the things they learned in a document. It can be a document on your Google Drive. Let the person document all that they've learned and use that as a knowledge transfer tool, so that you don't need to keep sending people for that same training. That person is able to gather that information and pass it on to the team. Now, sometimes your training sessions, you can even task people in your team to perform training sessions, knowledge sharing sessions rather. So what you give them an area to research on, and they come to the team and talk to the team about those areas. So it's also part of developing their leadership skills and their presentation skills. So perform regular performance management. You're not too small, even if you're a 1-man or 2-man team, to have performance management. Start it now so that you can build on that foundation for when you have more employees. Have regular performance management and provide constructive feedback. Let your feedback not be laced with so much emotion. Let it be logical. Let it be constructive. Because if you tell somebody, for example, you are mad, right? That's not a feedback. If you tell somebody you're acting like someone that does not have sense, that's not a feedback. Your feedback should be, I expected you to do so and so and so, and this is why so and so is important. Construct your feedback in such a way that you're not meting out personal insults on your employees. Now, another way of right development is creating a career pathway. I've heard people say they left organization because there was no growth. The truth is that there's always growth, but the growth was not communicated to the employee. Sometimes growth can be in form of opportunities, like to either be promoted, or growth can even look like salary increments in some areas, or allowances, or more commissions and allowances in some areas. So create a pathway that the employee will feel like they're part of something that is growing. So first of all, when you are doing when you want to approach development of your employees, you must approach it with the mindset of, what are the skill gaps? Who has heard the word skill gap analysis? What are the skill gaps? What are the skill gaps in your organization as of today? What are the areas that you are lacking in? Sometimes you might be lacking in those areas, and it might be a case of hiring somebody that's an expert in that area. Sometimes it might be that you need to train people on how to carry out those functionalities in your business. So conduct regular performance reviews, and performance development plans. So don't just do performance review. When you see the areas that your employees are lacking in, what is the improvement plan for those areas? So that's also very important. And then invest in coaching and soft skill development. So give them problem solving tasks, give them problem solving and communication and teamwork tasks to ensure that they are following the principles that you have put in place. Is everyone still with me, please? We will just have a few more
Yes,
things
ma'am.
to talk about before we go into. Sorry, how much time do I have left?
You still have 30 minutes, so say 30, 40 minutes.
Ah, perfect. So let's go to our icebreaker session and we'll go around, and so that I can also enjoy some of you's also your insights on some of the problems that you have, and then we will also find solutions to some of the problems that you identify. So the first question is, what is the biggest challenge you have faced when working in a team, and how did you overcome it? So let's talk about your own personal journey. It can be as an entrepreneur, it can be as a maybe when you worked for someone. So let's talk about that real quick. Anybody? I will call names at random. I think that's what I'll do. I'll call businesses randomly to answer this question. I think that will be more fun. Okay. So do we have Ayodele on the call?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the question is, what was the biggest challenge you faced when working in a team, and how did you overcome it? So I want to learn from you as well.
Okay. Good morning, ma'am.
Morning, Ayodele.
I think the one of the groups that I've been able to like spearhead was, I think the major one was when I was in service. So I was able to manage a small group of people. I think the major challenge was time management, on the parts of the members of my team, try to drag them, carry out certain exercise functions and engagement. So at the point in time, I think it's very important for me to take some drastic and what I would call a crazy decisions. So and it's happened this way. Anytime I think we want to carry out a particular function, I would take the time for the event. So it's normal that most of them will come late. So that is, yes, it's normal that most of them will come late. So I just wait for like for instance, if the event is actually stipulated around 12 a.m. or 12 noon. So I think we were just several persons in the group. So as soon as I see like 2-3 persons, we start or we leave. So this decision did not go well with a good number of them. It's most times it resulted into quarrel and all the rest, because I just thought as a leader, these are some of the things I need to, this kind of decision I need to take. And even though it did not go well with them, but at the point in time, they discovered that they started adjusting, little by little, most of them begin to adjust with.
So did you say that you got the outcome that you desired?
Exactly. Though it did not go well with them, we have to quarrel very well. We quarrel very well. This we say that you have to wait for me, you have to wait for me, you have to wait for me, all those things. I said, no, we have time, we have target, we have to meet up with the time. So we just have to do something. But in the long run, it begins to adjust with the normal time. I was able to achieve something.
Okay, so if you guys were together for how long?
For a period of 1 year during the service year. So just 1 year.
Okay, during the service year. Okay. Okay, so who has heard about the stages of team formation, right? So there's a man called Bruce Tuckman. He called it team development model. So there is a forming, storming, norming, and performing stage of the team. And then sometimes there's the adjourning stage of the team. So what does this mean? It means that ideally you can mute. It means that you can mute so that I don't echo.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing that. So for Ayodele's case, they were in the storming stage. So the forming stage can be a stage where you have the team members, they come together. Then you have the storming stage. This stage is when people start to assert themselves and then there's conflict. So in Ayodele's stage, when he wanted to ensure that they follow a strict time, he said that they disagreed a lot. So there was conflict in that stage. So they went from the forming to the storming. Then the norming stage now has to do with the stage where conflicts are resolved and then their relationships are built from that as a result of the different conflict that they had. And as a leader, what you do in this stage is to keep supporting the team efforts and reinforce positive behaviors. So according to Ayodele's story, he got around and then people started to he got the desired result, and people started to come in early as well. And then there's a performing stage where you have to just continue to empower your team to make the right decision and continue to reward good decisions and focus on maintaining high performance. And then sometimes a team faces at the adjourning stage where you acknowledge the team's effort and achievements, and then you provide closure when they come together for a short-term project. When people come together for a short-term project, the adjourning stage is usually thank you for coming together, you acknowledge achievements, and then you close maybe the project. For example, end of NYSC was the adjourning stage for Ayodele's team. So thank you, Ayodele, for sharing that. So it's something that we can Google, or we can just Google the Bruce Tuckman team development model. So I'll put it in the chat. There's my chat. Okay. Sorry, I can't find the chat button. Okay. So this is Bruce. Why is Ayodele laughing? Yeah. So this would also give you an oversight on what is happening in your team or the stages that your team is experiencing. So do you understand what happened in Ayodele's case? So thank you for sharing. One more person can share? So let's have a Precious. Is Precious on this call? Precious, please share one team challenge and we would all address it together. So does anybody have anything to add to what Ayodele said, or anybody has any comments on what Ayodele said? Yeah, let's take one comment on what Ayodele said and we'll have Precious talk to us. Somebody raised their hands now. Please speak. Someone raised their hand, no? Okay, Precious, you can go ahead. Tell us about the challenge that you faced, and we'll give you I'll give you feedback as well.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Please go ahead.
Okay, one of the challenges I faced was during the time I was the lead for She Code Africa UNN chapter. So
For what? What did you call it?
for the lead She Code Africa UNN chapter.
Food. Okay.
Yes, it's a tech community. So, it was a bit of we had our different opinions about a certain matter, how things should be done. Most of them were bringing up ideas. I did suggest something as the lead that we should do, but it was countered, and they brought up their different opinions and suggestions. At that point, it was not the right time to uh, impose yourself as the leader. It was a time to listen to everybody's suggestion and take into consideration what everybody had to say, and then come up with a totally different thing altogether. So that was what I did. It was not like I was being okay. It was not like I was being favorable to one person and leaving others. I just took everybody's suggestion. I was able to sieve, because at the end of the day is the growth of the community that we should be looking at, and not if your suggestion or where the suggestion is coming from. So it was a bit of a problem because everyone wanted to be noticed and known, and they were trying to put in their best as well. But it was a bit over the bar, because it became quite much. So I just had to step in and did a whole different thing altogether, and just came up with a brand new plan. And at the end of the day, everyone was happy. The result was okay. It was impactful to the community.
Okay. So Precious also faced the stages of team formation, which is the forming, storming, norming, performing, and how long did the team last?
Okay, it lasted well since my sophomore year, and although I'm still currently the lead, I'll be handing over very soon. So I think that should be like 2 years now. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So will you say that in your time as the lead, you achieved all the goals or you struggled to achieve some of the goals?
I achieved the major ones that I wanted to.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing. So let's go to the next question. So Precious also faced the forming, storming, norming, and performing stages, and she would be closing up into her journey in her own case, because she's also going to wrap up the project as well. So let's also look at the second question. 4 components that you think out of the 4 components I spoke about, which one do you think you will struggle with the most? So let me call someone randomly as well. Do we have Chiamaka on the call? Do we have Chiamaka on the call? No? Okay, Odeshola, is there any Chiamaka on the call? No? Let me go to Dorcas. Do we have Dorcas on the call? Hello.
Sorry, I didn't know I was no. I've not unmuted myself. Torifat Barry, can you please respond to the question?
So I spoke on 4 components. Which of these 4 components do you think you likely struggle with?
Good afternoon. I don't think
Yeah.
I was in when you spoke of the 4 components. If you don't mind, if I could like just see the slide regarding the components.
Okay, so we spoke on 4 areas that are areas for building your team, and we said the right people doing things the right way. And then we spoke about the right development. So we said right people, right things, right way, right development. So did you hear me speak on any of them? No?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So regarding these 4 components, the question is which one will I struggle with, right?
Yeah, you think you would struggle with in
I think
delivering? The right people is basically your recruitment process. The right things is your understanding your task. The right way is the procedures for excellence, and then the right development is ensuring that your employees are properly trained. Hello?
So first, yeah, sorry. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
All right. So I think I would struggle with like 2 things. The first thing is finding the right people, and the second one is the last one that has to do with the development process. In the sense of finding the right people, you know, it can be quite tedious because I mean different people are coming with their own different mindsets and probably from other workplaces, and they're looking forward to like having something better than what they had in the past. So fine, you can go through your scrutinizing process of going through their CVs or going through like doing interview process. But I mean, so many people know that interview process, everybody just wants to be perfect, and they just come up with their own grades and everything. So you can't really know people until when they start working with you, and that is very essential because it can make the company and it can actually break the company in a way. So I think that's going to be like my own struggle, finding the right people. And then last one, which has to do with the right development process. In some instances, yeah, as the owner of the company, you might not really be able to find the balance in in assuring that growth process, because I mean people, they learn in different ways and they grow in different ways, and definitely you have your own your own ideology of how you want your company to be and everything, and might not really tally with the growth parameter that your employees are looking forward to, especially if it's like the early stage of your company. I mean, the early stages are like the most important stages because it can determine how far your company is going to stand. And if you have employees that are not really conforming with your own idea of how development should be, it might really be difficult to make your company stand for a long time. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a practical problem that you shared. Okay, peace, David. You want to say something?
All right. Yes. I don't know if I can contribute to the icebreaker.
You can contribute, yeah.
All right. So the biggest one of the challenges I have faced while working in a team actually is motivation. The aspect of motivation. Yes. Basically, everyone can say we need best hands, like, and we need best people at the same time. So, but at the same time, okay, I would say one of challenges basically is in terms of motivating the best hands that we can get, basically, like, and okay, best hands motivation. I mean, is, let's say, in terms of in terms of getting paid, like, on all of that. So I think I will now end this with a question, and which goes as, how do we get to motivate best hands? Yes, like, motivation in the aspect of, like, getting them, like, payments. Yes.
Yeah, so you've asked a very important question. And I think some of what you asked as well is also tied back to what Torifat also mentioned. So sometimes you hire them, they sound nice in the interview, but when it comes to the practical of it, right, it becomes what's it called? Something else as well. So let's look at it from this way, right? When it comes to motivation as well, when it comes to motivation, there are two aspects to look at, right? Motivation can be intrinsic or extrinsic. So what do I mean? Motivational factors can come from the person, and sometimes it can be external. So when it's external, that's when salaries come in, performance bonuses come in, and all of those things, right? But it's always good for you to look at people that are internally motivated, that actually are self-motivated, first of all. That means they buy into your dream, they're passionate about your dream, right? And money will just be an added advantage for them. Of course, everybody, like my father will say, everybody is looking for money, nobody's looking for work. Everybody wants to be motivated by money, right? But sometimes people are motivated also by the contribution that they will be making to solving that problem. So how do you find people that are motivated to work to solving that problem even before they get paid? Even without getting paid, they are already super motivated. They are already passionate about it. So that's the question that you need to ask. Where do I find those people? And that question can be answered in various ways. Sometimes it might be a partnership with somebody doing something similar with what you're doing. Somebody's doing something similar with what you're doing. So, like, I'll give you an example in my business, right? We have a HR software, we have a HR consulting company. Sometimes we've had to partner with recruitment companies. Now, what I mean by recruitment companies, there are sometimes these companies that train people. Who knows ALX, for example? They train people and look for where to place them. They don't have what's it called? They don't have the resources to either place them in an employment. So we've partnered with those people that have people but don't have how to give those people jobs. So we get those people employed, those trained people from ALS, Old School, Decagon, we get them placed in organizations. So that's an example of a partnership. And how does that solve our problem? It solves our problem of candidates. It solves our problem of having people that are not it solves our problem of ensuring that we employ skilled people for our clients, basically. So we take those people, and sometimes those kind of partnerships are very important. They save you cost. They save your recruitment team the cost of finding people all over. We just partner with those schools and we help employ and deploy the talents that they've trained. So that's one example of how you can look at it. Who can you partner with? How can you creatively hire somebody in terms of you give the person maybe you agree to person work with you for like 5 times a week and you pay the person a smaller amount. You might not hire the person full time. How do you use part-time employees to achieve your goal? How do you use people that are already working in a 9 to 5 that are doing a similar role of what you are looking for in your organization? You can talk to one of those people that want to have extra money on the side and say, okay, you pay them a fraction for working for you part-time. Sometimes it can be part-time employees that you need to get. Sometimes you might need to have remote, the person might need to work with you fully remote because they are working somewhere else already. Do you understand what I mean? You understand what I mean, Peace? Sometimes you need to look at it that way. How can this person work for me? How can this person work for me for maybe 10 hours a week, 5 hours a week, and help me achieve my goal? And they don't necessarily have to resign from their current employment. Instead, they just earn something on the side. You give them proper KPIs, you give them proper job descriptions, you give them proper tasks to accomplish. They accomplish those tasks and you pay them. So sometimes we might not really need to go for full-time employees. I've had some of my friends work for me. They are big boys and big girls in their organizations, but I pay them a fraction and they do things like growth marketing for me. They do things like accounting for me. So don't be afraid to collaborate. It can be partnership, it can be outright partnerships, it can be part-time arrangements with people that are experienced, and it can also be that you just sometimes you just need to get interns, and sometimes you just need to partner with training organizations, because we have so many people training young people and they don't have where to place them. So you have an internship arrangement with those type of people and say, okay, all your code and non-code engineers, they can intern with me for a couple of months before they get a permanent employment. Don't forget that these organizations that are training people, they are also looking to, or they're looking for how to give those people value by placing them in an employment. So make sure that you think of ways that are not traditional. Don't only exhaust your options on traditional hiring. Look for ways that are non-traditional to ensure that you get the best outcome for your organization. So that solves also the problem that Torifat mentioned. At least if you are working with an organization that has trained people, you can be sort of assured of the quality of people that are coming to your organization. If you are partnering with a friend that is a professional in a certain field, you can be sure of the kind of quality of knowledge the person will bring to your organization, while you pay the person a token of what they would have earned if you were hiring them full-time. Or sometimes it might just be partnership with another company that can deliver some of your value areas for you as well. So those are some of the areas to mitigate hiring the wrong sets of people. I hope that was helpful. So let's look at how to align all these 4 areas that were mentioned. So the success in alignment of this of the synergy of those 4 concepts of right people, right things, the right way with the right development will mean that you are continuously evaluating your processes. So you are ensuring that you make sure that there are efficiencies and there's a good, healthy environment. Your employment or your company is not toxic. Don't encourage toxic traits. Don't encourage. So some people leave organizations for toxicity, right? If you ask them, why are you leaving? they'll say, oh, it's a toxic place. So make sure that your work environment is not an environment that encourages blame. Sometimes we don't know, we create organizations that encourages blame. It's not my fault, it's this person's fault. As a team, everybody should be held accountable when a process does not go as planned or when a service does not go as planned. This one is not time for pointing fingers. Don't allow people point fingers in your organization. So we must also create sustainable success, right? Operational excellence, it depends highly on a sustainable success. So don't grow at a stage that your capacity or your company's capacity cannot handle. Ensure that you maintain a healthy amount of skilled people per time, and you build on that sustainably. Don't hire people you can't afford. That's why I say sometimes you need to take the part-time approach. You might just have to hire people to work for you part-time. So don't hire people you can't afford, and don't monitor the market changes and industry trends at all times. Keep abreast of policies that will likely affect your business. That's how to ensure sustainability. You have to be very aware of the business environment you are operating in. Why my business was able to set up in other countries was due to proper investigation and research. What was Qatar offering us? What was the US market offering us? We have to properly research and see how those policies will affect us in the long run. So that's how to stay sustainable. Encourage problem-solving capacities and abilities within your team. So make sure that you're hiring a healthy amount of people with different backgrounds. What I mean by different backgrounds is different set of skills. So some people, yes, when you're interviewing, make sure your question also comes around problem. So you cannot underestimate problem-solving skills in an organization. If not, they will wear you out as a leader. Everybody will come and be asking you the same question every time. Ma, how should we do this? Sir, how should we do this? You don't want that for your organization. You want people to take ownership of their roles. So make sure that you ensure that they are very, very clear about taking decisions. Not everything must pass through you. Sometimes let them make their own mistakes and learn from the mistakes. Remember, we're building a learning organization, a growth organization. So encourage problem-solving skills. Encourage communication. So communication can be a very, very, very important factor. So conflict is not a bad thing. Healthy conflict is the one that is what you should encourage. Healthy conflict. Let people understand why a process is important and enforce them or establish why that process is important. Right? Increase employee engagement. How do you increase employee engagement? Let everybody feel involved in processes. Let them feel engaged in processes. Ask questions so that they understand, you also understand their mindset, and make sure that people want to do meaningful work. So one of the things that the pandemic also exposed was that people want to do meaningful work. People want to know that their work is making a difference. They don't just want to work for the sake of working. They want to ensure that their work makes a difference. I know that there are people that are lazy naturally, but I'm saying that the typical person that is hardworking and focused wants job satisfaction. And this will be done when you increase their engagement. Let them know why a task is important. Encourage them to understand why a task is important at each time. And then create a sense of camaraderie. So your team must understand why they are together. Like, let them have that. I don't know if you know how soldiers can be in the battlefield. When soldiers are in the battlefield, they are defending themselves. They're not just shooting the opponent, they're also defending themselves. Make sure that the opponent does not shoot their own colleague or does not shoot their own teammate. They also defend their teammates. So make sure that there is that atmosphere. Like I say, don't allow an atmosphere where people are blamed, where people are pointing fingers when something is not done. Let everybody take the fall. Let everybody take the praise. Let there be a high level of accountability. So the accountability can look like a simple thing like who was responsible for this or who is taking the lead for this. And then that person, observe that person's leadership skills and give constructive feedback on the person's performance. Sometimes it is you as a leader that needs to be accountable to your team. If you say people shouldn't come late for meetings, what time do you show up for meetings? If you say people shouldn't wear certain type of clothes to the office, what kind of clothes do you wear? If you say people should stay on their emails and respond quickly, do you respond quickly? So stay accountable at all times. People want a leader that does not say something and do the opposite. They want a leader that also has the ability to stick to the process as well. So let's design a job description together, and we'll design a behavioral interview question as well. And then we'll identify 3 promotional possibilities in our organization. This is your take-home assignment. I don't know if we should take it home or we should do it here. Okay. Let's do it here. We'll divide the class into 3 groups. Odeshola, do we have the ability to do that? To give people groups, and one person will present.
I think so. We can, let me see, people on the call. Oh, okay, we can help people from, they are grouped normally into about 5 different groups.
Oh, okay.
So
perfect.
let me see if I can say a representative from each one should answer. So if you're in group 1, can someone from group 1 represent their group? From group 2, someone should represent. From group 3, someone should please signify. From group 4. So let's have that.
Are they in a WhatsApp group together per group?
Yes, they're in a WhatsApp
Okay, so
group
that's
together.
perfect. So group 1, your work is to design a job description that reflects knowledge, skill, and abilities, and also imputes the different aspects of culture fit. If you remember when I said, so let me go back to the first slide. So you include in your job description these key principles, right? Are you guys noticing the key principles? You can just do a screenshot, and that should be reflected in the job description that you create. Your knowledge, skill, and ability, culture fit, and inclusion. So that's group 1's assignment. Is it clear, please? From someone from group 1, can they tell me if the question is clear?
TV in group 1, please respond. Anyone, does that have to be the group leader? I'm guessing this means there's nobody from group 1 wants to respond. Hello?
Hello?
Okay, Nika is from group 1, I believe. Okay. So I think she's signifying that she understands the question.
Okay, that's good. So we're going to create a behavioral interview question for any role that you can think of. So behavioral interview question. That's for group 2. So the other groups, you would identify 3 promotional possibilities in your organization. So either you use one person's organization or you come up with an organization, and then you give 3 possible promotional areas. So if somebody, for example, starts as a receptionist, you can use the role of a receptionist to start. What are the 3 areas that the person can be promoted to? So I'll give this assignment to the 3rd group. So now that you have 5 groups, so let me add 2 more questions to it. Where's my? So I'll add 2 more questions to it to ensure that. Okay, I think group 3, 4, and 5 can come up with different roles and their possibilities for promotion in the organization. Do we understand the question, please? Anyone that does not understand the question should please let me know. Someone said, what are the other groups? What do you mean by that, please? Can you explain for that? Precious, please.
Mama, I'm in group 4, but I don't understand what you mean. I lost connection at some point.
She said somebody said they are in group 10. Okay, let's just place everybody in. I think the 5 groups is what you said exists, Odeshola. No? Why is somebody saying group 10?
Okay, I think there are about 10 groups.
Oh, okay.
Or yes.
Let's just say 3 groups. Let's just say 3 groups for the ease of the assignment, please. Let's keep it as 3. So first group, design a job description that has the key knowledge, key principles of knowledge, skill, and ability, and also culture fit. Then design a behavioral interview question. So choose any role and create behavioral interview questions that you think will help you expose a person's behavior of problem-solving skills. Some of the skills we mentioned: problem-solving, communication, interpersonal skill. All those things should be factored into this question. And then the 3rd group should identify 3 promotional possibilities in your organization. So create an organization and the role and the 3 possibilities for either promoting that person into different roles. So for example, I gave the example of a receptionist. What in an organization, if somebody should start as a receptionist, what are the 3 possible roles the person can be promoted to? Do you understand? Do we understand all the questions for the 3 groups, please?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you so much. I think what we'll do is, since we have 10 groups, we'll just pair them. So group 1, 2, 3 should do assignment 1. Group 3, 4, 5 will do number 2, and number 3, group 6, 7, 8. Now group
Okay.
9 and 10 can choose whichever one they want to do. For the assignments, we'll send screenshots of this. We are even sending the slide to the group so that they can easily like refer back to it. But if you have any question on how to go about the assignments, please, now is the best time to ask.
Thank you, Olumide. Okay, in the absence of, so we would conclude intentional. Yes, you're submitting one material as a group. Yes, please. So I'll highlight key factors: intentional strategy, leadership, and commitment to growth is very important. So for you to see your team perform using these 4 components of the right people, the right way, the right people, the right things, the right way, and right development. You must have an intentional strategy of bringing this to life, and it must be enabled by leadership and commitment to growth. Okay, so to not only survive, you have to also keep yourself abreast of your competitors or your competitive environment, and ensure that you have future-proofed your business for success. So this is the conclusion, and I'll ask anyone to please share questions or clarifications that you need. And if you understood the principles as well, that would also be helpful. Questions? Do I have any question in the chat box?
So guys, this is the best time to ask questions if you have any.
Okay, please, David, you can. Yeah, please, David, you can ask your question.
All right. Yeah, I wanted to ask regarding coming. Okay. About some technological tools we can make use of in you mentioned some actually like in the beginning of the class, but I think you mentioned some, so I don't know if you can list tools that can help us in number one, sourcing tools. I mean for hiring best hands, sourcing tools,
Okay.
interview, shortlisting, and like you mentioned some parts of like some things we can do. If you can just comment in on that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that question. That's a very, very, very important question as well. So sourcing tools can range from your simple network and referrals. So what do I mean by your simple network and referrals? It might mean that you have you can tell people you can talk to your network about the roles you're looking to close. Sometimes referring people might be a good approach in what's it called, in getting the right talents. You might have to get people to refer people. Now, sometimes also you have to be out there as a business. Talent is attracted to businesses that are out there. So you must employ the simple principles of employment branding. Your employment branding, for example, can be you talking to people about why they should join your team on LinkedIn, you talking to people about why they should join your team on other social media channels. Sometimes you get the best of talent even reach out to you by themselves because they see your progress on these social media platforms. So you can source candidates from other screening methods. You can use LinkedIn. You can use Indeed. You can use Jobberman, and you can use what's it called? What's the other one called? JobMag. Those are tools, and we have also our own tool called Ready Job Seeker. Ready Job Seeker is a platform tool that we have and we own, that we also candidates also apply for jobs through that. We also take roles and publish them for candidates to apply. So we have also a community of job seekers as well on Telegram and WhatsApp that we also share those roles with. Yes, so you have for shortlisting, any tool that you're using to gather employees or gather CVs or recruit candidates, most times they also have the ability to shortlist. Our platform has the ability to help you shortlist, and other platforms as well. Our own software tool called RBTAC helps you to also shortlist as well. So it's also, you can also create jobs and post the link, and the link directly goes into the software and helps you to shortlist as well. So these are like simple, should I say, cost-effective methods that you can use. You asked question on sourcing, right? What other question did you ask? I think there's a second part you asked, Peace.
Yes, I asked on yes, I asked on sourcing. I asked generally technology tools we can use in yes, in our job description, like in yes,
Yeah.
also efficiency in teams, yes, like
Okay, so
organization. Yes.
you can use your ChatGPT for job descriptions. You can also use so most of these are softwares, including mine as well. Arbitac software can create job descriptions for you. It also uses AI. So there are many tools you can use, AI tools that create job descriptions. Job description nowadays is very simple. But whatever these AI tools generates for you as job description, make sure you edit it as well to reflect your key result areas, like your knowledge, skill, and abilities and culture fit. Make sure you edit it. Most of the tools I mentioned, they have a free version. Most of the tools I mentioned have a free version. Yeah. Excuse me. Most of the tools I mentioned have a free version, so it's just left for you to optimize on those free versions, and then you can now pay when you want to, when your team is expanding. So I make sure that most of the tools I mentioned are free. Efficiency among the team will start from them understanding their role. So you must have a good onboarding process. How do you have a good onboarding process? Don't just bring people to an organization and say, okay, work. Let them know the pathway of how their work is important. So have an onboarding document, an onboarding SOP, parole. What do you want a receptionist coming to your organization to know? What do you want a software developer coming to? Because they also differ. That document can have your vision and mission, but for all the different roles, what are the key things you want them to start off with in the first 30 days, in the next 60 days, in the next 90 days? What are the things that you have clearly stated as important, so that they will be effectively judged by those things, and this process is transparent, so that nobody will say, I was not aware, I was not informed that my role consists of this, or my role consisted of that. Nobody will say that if you have a clear-cut path as to how they must carry out their job description over time. So ensuring that there is a clear-cut path from the onboarding process on the jobs that they need to. So onboarding them is like a guide. You're guiding them into their work. I don't know why I'm sneezing, sorry. So engaging them in those first 30 days of their employment, the next 60 days and the next 90 days is so important and crucial to how they deliver efficiency to your organization. Now, have a tool for tracking performance. Sometimes it's a simple spreadsheet that will help you track performance. Sometimes it's a software that you might have to pay for to help you track performance. Sometimes it's a project management tool that will help you track performance. Some of the project management tools that we have that are free. Asana is free to an extent. Trello is free to an extent. We also have a task management tool on RBTAC as well. So that also helps for performance tracking. So, like I said, most of the tools I've mentioned, they are free to an extent. They have a free, like on our own software, so we have a free period. So make sure that you enhance your processes on those tools. Tracking performance is so important. What you don't track, you cannot account for. So you make sure that you track performance and let your employees understand the process for tracking performance. Let it be a transparent process. If it's not transparent, they can always tell you that they did not understand. So have a clear cut. And then sometimes we keep people that are non-performance and become very expensive to keep people. So I'm not one of the people that I'll tell you, yes, do your own part by retaining employees. But when somebody has had a poor performance and you create an improvement plan for the person is not improving, know when to cut ties with that person. Somebody said Microsoft project. Is it free too? I don't know if Microsoft project is free. But yes, there's so many platforms for managing projects. So you should understand when to let people go, when to fire people. It's also an important aspect of your people management and your performance management. When do you let people go? And let people know the principles why they will be let go from the organization. Let them know the principles. It can be a clear-cut principles of failure of performance to meet targets for 3 consecutive times, so that the process is very transparent. Nobody is telling you, why are you firing me? Or nobody is telling you, why are you letting me go? Let it be very, very clear. Sometimes it's the lack of clarity that makes it difficult to let people go. And you get emotional about when to let people go. When you keep a non-performer, you're killing your business and you are setting a precedent for people to follow. That means more people will likely not perform when they see somebody that is a non-performer that you're still keeping in your team. So ensuring that you understand when people should be let go, when people should be fired, is also very, very important. So not just keeping people that are non-performers. Allow people understand the process for them to perform, and helping them understand the process that would imply that you might have to let them go when they're not performing. So those are the tips I have for efficiency and job description, and also for managing tasks. Sometimes you might need to use a professional recruitment company. Sometimes you might need to find a training company that needs to people to that give people interns. Sometimes you might need to find those people as well. So those are the different ways for sourcing as well. Any other question?